In Colorado Springs, a city known for its stunning landscapes and close-knit communities, it's easy to believe that nothing bad could ever happen here. Among the rows of picture-perfect homes, this neighborhood seemed to embody the American dream. Friendly neighbors, safety, and peace. But as they say, not everything is as it seems. Behind the doors of one such home, a dark and devastating secret was brewing, waiting for the day it would explode into tragedy. Inside this house lived a family that seemed to have it all. Tashiana Blake, a devoted mother and successful realtor, built a life she could be proud of. Her husband, Dermot Blake, a decorated Army veteran, was seen as a hero by his peers and a loving father by his daughters. Together, they raised two young girls who brought joy and laughter to their home. To the outside world, they were the perfect family. But pictures don't always tell the full story. The Blake family's outward happiness masked a growing tension, one that only those within the walls of their home could truly feel. The neighbors heard little beyond laughter, but what they didn't hear were the arguments, the tears, and the simmering frustrations that built up over time. On the night of February 20, 2021, the neighborhood was as still as ever. No one could have imagined that within one of these homes, a life would soon be taken and a family torn apart forever. What happened that night? What could push a loving husband and father to commit an unthinkable act? The story of Tashiana Blake is not just a tale of tragedy, but a chilling reminder of how little we sometimes know about the lives of those closest to us. Stay with us as we uncover the details of a case that left an entire community in shock and spark conversations about the hidden dangers of domestic turmoil. How well do you think we can truly know the people closest to us? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Tashiana Blake was born on June 12th in Jamaica, a land of beauty, culture, and resilience. From an early age, Tashiana stood out for her kindness, her determination, and her unwavering belief that life held greater things for her. Growing up in a close-knit family, she learned the value of hard work and compassion, lessons that would guide her throughout her life. Her family remembers her as the glue that held everyone together. Always the first to help and the last to give up, Tashiana dreamed of not just surviving but thriving. She was ambitious and focused, determined to make a mark in the world. Her heart was as big as her dreams. She never hesitated to lift others as she climbed. Like so many before her, Tashiana saw the United States as a land of opportunity, a place where she could turn her dreams into reality. The decision to leave her beloved Jamaica wasn't easy, but she knew it was necessary. She wasn't just chasing success for herself. She wanted to provide for her family back home and create a better future for the next generation. In the US, Tashiana's drive and charisma quickly made her a standout in the real estate industry. As a realtor, she didn't just sell houses, she helped families find homes, a place where they could build memories and futures. She was a trusted advisor, a problem solver, and a cheerleader for her clients. Her dedication wasn't just about closing deals, it was about changing lives. But Tashiana's impact extended far beyond real estate. She was a natural mentor, always finding ways to empower others. Whether it was teaching financial literacy, sharing health tips, or just offering a listening ear, she made it her mission to help people reach their potential. For Tashiana, success wasn't just measured in personal achievements, but in how many people she could uplift along the way. Still, if you asked Tashiana what her greatest accomplishment was, she wouldn't point to her career or community impact. Her answer was always the same: her daughters. They were her world, her purpose, and her greatest source of joy. Every decision she made was for them. Every dream she pursued was with their future in mind. Tashiana's love as a mother was fierce and unconditional. What qualities do you think define a truly successful person? Is it measured by accomplishments, or by the love and impact they leave behind? Let's discuss in the comments. Dermot Blake's journey began in the vibrant heart of Jamaica, where he was born into a hard-working family. Known for his quiet demeanor and unshakable focus, Dermot was a child with a vision. He grew up watching his father work long hours to support the family, instilling in him a deep sense of duty and discipline. From a young age, Dermot made it clear that he was determined to rise above the challenges of his humble beginning. Education was a priority for Dermot. He excelled academically, showing a knack for technology and communication. But while his peers dreamed of staying close to home, Dermot had bigger aspirations. He wanted to serve, to explore, and to create a legacy that would make his family proud. For Dermot, the path forward was clear. Joining the military was not just a career choice for Dermot, it was a calling. As an army radio expert, he quickly distinguished himself for his precision and reliability. Over the next 13 years, Dermot climbed the ranks, earning the respect of his peers and superiors alike. His work was demanding, requiring long hours, intense focus, and a level of discipline that most people could only imagine, and Dermot thrived under the pressure. But life in the military wasn't without its challenges. The structured environment demanded perfection, leaving little room for emotional expression. Dermot developed a reputation for being strong, stoic, and unshakable, the kind of man others could depend on in times of crisis. Yet behind the uniform and the medals, there were struggles that even Dermot couldn't admit to. The military gave Dermot purpose, but it also came with sacrifices. The long deployments, the weight of responsibility, and the pressure to maintain an unyielding facade began to take their toll. Like many service members, Dermot carried the unspoken burden of expectations, a weight that few around him could fully understand. When Dermot returned to Jamaica on leave, he was greeted as a hero. To his family and friends, he represented success, discipline, and pride. But the man they saw didn't always reflect the inner battles Dermot faced. Beneath the surface, the rigid structure of his military life had created cracks that would only deepen as time went on. Dermot met Tashiana. It seemed like the perfect match. She admired his discipline, his strength, and his unwavering dedication to his family and career. And for Dermot, Tashiana was a breath of fresh air, a vibrant, loving woman who brought joy into his carefully ordered world. To those around them, they were a perfect pair, a protector and a nurturer, a provider and a dreamer. But as we've learned, appearances can be deceiving. While Dermot's military career painted him as a man of unwavering strength, it also hid the struggles he carried silently. The weight of his responsibilities, coupled with the pressures of maintaining a perfect life, would soon prove to be more than he could bear. What no one could have predicted was just how devastating the fallout would be. Do you believe a disciplined career like the military can hide deeper struggles? How can we support those who serve while helping them address their hidden battles? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. In 2013, their paths crossed in a moment that seemed destined by fate. Tashiana Blake, a charismatic realtor with a heart full of ambition, met Dermot Blake, a disciplined army radio expert who exuded stability and strength. Their connection was instant, two souls who seemed to complement each other perfectly. Their love story blossomed quickly, fueled by mutual admiration and shared dreams. Tashiana was drawn to Dermot's steady presence and his sense of responsibility, while Dermot admired Tashiana's warmth, her drive, and her ability to light up every room she entered. To everyone around them, it was a relationship built to last. In a beautiful ceremony surrounded by loved ones, Dermot and Tashiana pledged their lives to each other. Their wedding was a celebration of hope and unity, the beginning of what everyone believed would be a lifelong partnership. Together, They seemed unstoppable. Their love story continued to grow as they built a home together, creating a sanctuary for their growing family. Their daughters quickly became the center of their world, filling their days with joy, laughter, and a renewed sense of purpose. Tashiana often said being a mother was her greatest accomplishment, and Dermot took pride in being a provider and protector for his family. On the surface, the Blakes appeared to have it all. Their social media painted a picture of a picture-perfect family, a loving marriage, adorable children, and a life filled with milestones and memories. They were the kind of couple others looked up to, the embodiment of what many aspired to achieve. But as we all know, not every picture tells the full story. Behind the smiles and the posts, cracks were beginning to form. Small, almost imperceptible at first. The pressures of daily life, unresolved personal struggles, and unspoken tensions began to take their toll. What appeared perfect on the outside was far more complicated within the walls of their home. Their story, like so many others, reminds us that what we see on the surface is rarely the whole truth. Love and marriage are complex, filled with highs and lows, joys and sorrows. But for the Blakes, the weight of their hidden struggles would soon lead to an unthinkable tragedy, one that no one, not even those closest to them, could have foreseen. Have you ever seen a picture-perfect couple that surprised you with hidden struggles? What do you think causes those cracks to go unnoticed? Share your thoughts below. From the outside, the Blake home still looked like a haven, a place where love and laughter thrived. But by 2020, the cracks in their seemingly perfect marriage were no longer easy to hide. The warmth that once defined their relationship had given way to cold silences, harsh words, and mounting frustration. Arguments between Tashiana and Dermot became more frequent, and the once solid foundation of their marriage began to crumble. Friends noticed the subtle changes, a strained smile here, a distant look there. But no one could have guessed the depth of their struggles. The couple kept their conflicts behind closed doors, determined to maintain the facade of a happy family. Divorce papers were filed, a decision that signaled just how strained their relationship had become. But even as they began to take steps towards separating, the turmoil between them only deepened. Their daughters, caught in the middle, became silent witnesses to the growing storm within their home. On one occasion, the police were called to their home after a heated argument. Neighbors reported hearing raised voices, but when officers arrived, no charges were filed. It was a fleeting glimpse into the escalating conflict behind the walls of their home. One that few outside their family ever suspected. For friends and family, the signs of trouble were subtle. Tashiana and Dermot were private, rarely sharing the details of their struggles. Their social media accounts still showcased smiling family photos, leaving those closest to them unaware of the tension that had taken hold. Even as the cracks grew wider, the true depth of their pain remained hidden. As the months passed, the distance between Tashiana and Dermot only grew. The pressures of daily life, unresolved emotions, and their shared history created a perfect storm, one that was slowly but surely building toward a breaking point. But when should friends or family step in? And could intervention have prevented the tragedy that was about to unfold? When is the right time for friends or family to step in during a couple's conflict? Should they wait for a clear sign or act at the first sign of trouble? Share your thoughts below. February 20, 2021 began like any other day for the Blake family. The sun rose over Colorado Springs, painting the quiet streets in gold. Inside the Blake home, the usual routines played out. Breakfast at the table, the sound of children laughing, and the shuffle of papers and schedules. To the outside world, it seemed like just another ordinary day. but beneath the surface, tensions were simmering, unnoticed by everyone but those living within those walls. As the day unfolded, there were no visible signs of the storm brewing within the Blake home. No raised voices, no hurried footsteps, just a stillness that seemed almost too quiet. For their neighbors, it was another peaceful day in the idyllic neighborhood they called home. No one could have imagined what was about to happen. Night fell, and the neighborhood slipped into its familiar rhythm of quiet. Inside their homes, families gathered for dinner, watched TV, or prepared for bed. The Blake home, however, was cloaked in an eerie stillness. The light in the second-floor window flickered intermittently, a small detail that would later haunt the memories of those who lived nearby. Some neighbors later recalled feeling a strange unease that night, though they couldn't explain why. A creeping sense that something wasn't quite right. An instinct too subtle to act on, but strong enough to linger in the back of their minds. It was the kind of feeling that makes you double-check locked doors or glance out the window one last time before turning off the lights. Inside the Blake home, the stillness was deceptive. What had begun as a quiet evening was spiraling into chaos behind closed doors. Tensions that had simmered for months were now reaching a boiling point, and every word, every glance carried a weight that could not be ignored. The hours ticked by, each minute bringing the Blake family closer to a moment that would change their lives forever. The signs were there, a tightening of the atmosphere, a growing tension that could be felt in every corner of the house. But no one could have predicted how the night would end. For the neighbors, the night seemed uneventful, a dog barking, the hum of a car engine passing by, the soft glow of lights spilling from living room windows. But for the Blakes, it was the beginning of the end. A chain of events had been set in motion, one that no one, not even those closest to them, could stop. What happened in the Blake home that night? What caused a seemingly ordinary day to end in unimaginable tragedy? And most hauntingly, could it have been stopped? Have you ever felt like something seemed off, but couldn't pinpoint why? Did you trust your instincts, or did you brush it aside? Share your stories in the comments below. At exactly midnight, the silence of this peaceful Colorado Springs neighborhood was pierced by a series of loud bangs. The sound startled residents from their sleep, their once familiar surroundings suddenly feeling foreign and threatening. For those who heard it, the noise was unsettling but unclear. Fireworks, perhaps? A car backfiring? Or something far worse? Many neighbors hesitated, unsure of what they had just heard. But the unease quickly turned to fear when the sound of sirens broke the stillness, flashing red and blue lights reflecting off every surface as police cars raced toward the Blake home. The first officers on the scene found the front door ajar, the inside of the house eerily quiet. What awaited them inside was a scene they would never forget. In the living room, they discovered 30-year-old Tashiana Blake lying lifeless on the floor, her body bearing the unmistakable marks of a violent end. Standing nearby were Tashiana's two daughters, just 5 and 7 years old. Their innocent faces were frozen in shock, their wide eyes silently pleading for answers that no child should ever have to seek. They had witnessed everything, an unspeakable act that would leave scars far deeper than anyone could imagine. Police quickly detained 33-year-old Dermot Blake, Tashiana's husband, who remained at the scene. Calm but subdued, Dermot told the officers, "I shot my wife." His words were chilling in their simplicity, a stark contrast to the chaos that had just unfolded. The 911 call Dermot had made moments earlier played a critical role in unraveling the events of that night. In the recording, he admitted to the shooting, claiming it was in the heat of an argument. But as investigators pieced together the evidence, a darker and more deliberate narrative began to emerge. Neighbors watched in stunned silence as the once peaceful street was transformed into a crime scene. The sounds of police radios crackling, the flashing lights and the whispered speculations painted a surreal picture, one that none of them would forget. For those who had heard the argument earlier that night, or the loud bangs that followed, guilt and regret began to set in. Could they have done something? Could they have intervened? Tashiana's life had been violently cut short, and the Blake family was irreparably broken. The only witnesses to the tragedy were two innocent children, their lives now forever shaped by what they had seen. Questions swirled. What could have pushed Dermot to commit such a horrific act? And, more hauntingly, were there warning signs that had gone unnoticed? If you were one of the neighbors, would you have intervened or called the police immediately? Have you ever experienced a moment where you felt something was wrong but hesitated to act? Let's discuss in the comments below. Dermot Blake was arrested at the scene on February 20, 2021 and charged with first-degree murder and child abuse. As the investigation unfolded, the chilling details of what happened that night and the months leading up to it came to light. What began as a quiet domestic dispute had escalated into a tragedy that left an entire community in shock. Detectives combed through the Blake home, piecing together the sequence of events leading to Tashiana's death. Forensic evidence told a story of precision. Dermot had fired 3 shots, one of which was fatal. The positioning of the bullets suggested intent, contradicting any claims of an accidental shooting or a heat-of-the-moment action. Key to the case was the doorbell camera, which had captured audio of the argument that preceded the shooting. Investigators also relied on testimonies from the couple's daughters. Though young, the children provided a harrowing account of the moments leading up to their mother's death. Their words painted a picture of a man who demanded control. Control that turned deadly when challenged. The trial began in late 2022, drawing national attention for its tragic and deeply personal nature. The prosecution argued that Dermot had acted with clear intent, citing the doorbell footage, forensic evidence, and testimonies from the children as proof. They described a man who had meticulously planned his actions, ensuring there was no escape for Tashiana that night. Meanwhile, Dermot's defense team claimed the shooting was an act of passion, triggered by a heated argument that spiraled out of control. They painted him as a dedicated father and a soldier under immense pressure, arguing that the stresses of his military career and deteriorating marriage had led to a momentary lapse in judgment. For Tashiana's family, the trial was more than a quest for justice. It was a chance to tell her story. Through their testimonies, they shared memories of a vibrant, loving woman who had devoted her life to her family and community. They spoke of her dreams, her resilience, and the void her absence had left in their lives. Tashiana was more than just a victim, her mother said. She was a mother, a daughter, a sister, and a friend. She deserved to live, to see her daughters grow, and to fulfill the dream she worked so hard for. No one had the right to take that away from her. Weeks of testimony and hours of deliberation, the jury returned with a verdict: guilty of first-degree murder. The decision was unanimous, with the evidence leaving no room for doubt. Dermot Blake was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, along with additional sentences for child abuse. For Tashiana's family, the verdict brought a sense of closure but not relief. No sentence could bring her back, and no punishment could erase the trauma her daughters would carry for the rest of their lives. Still, they hoped her story would serve as a reminder of the devastating consequences of unchecked violence. The trial raised difficult questions about the justice system's handling of domestic violence cases. Could more have been done to prevent this tragedy? Were there missed opportunities to intervene before it was too late? And most importantly, How can we better support those trapped in dangerous situations before they reach a breaking point? Do you think the justice system adequately handles cases of domestic violence? What changes do you believe are necessary to prevent tragedies like this? Share your thoughts below. Tashiana Blake was more than the tragedy that took her life. She was a mother, a friend, and a beacon of hope for those around her. Her story is a heartbreaking reminder of the hidden battles that so many face behind closed doors. It's a call to action, a plea for vigilance, compassion, and the courage to speak up when something doesn't feel right. If you or someone you know is in an abusive situation, please know that help is available. You are not alone. Reaching out for support could save a life, just as it could have saved Tashiana's. No one should suffer in silence, and no one should endure abuse, ever. Tashiana's legacy lives on in her daughters, her family, and the countless lives she touched during her time here. As we reflect on her story, let it inspire us to look out for one another, to ask the difficult questions, and to act when something feels wrong. Let her story remind us of the power of kindness, vigilance, and hope. If you found this video informative or impactful, please like, subscribe, and share to help raise awareness. Together we can create a world where no one has to live in fear, and every voice is heard. Let's continue this important conversation in the comments below.